Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Enterprise Architecture and we are back here playing more modded Vintagestory. Now, last episode we started committing a heresy and we did that by using machines inside of Vintagestory. So we're using the Vintage Engineering mod to build all of these wonderful machines that you see behind me, which will improve our ability to smelt and create various crafts that usually require a lot of manual forging. So today we are going to continue on that journey and finally get our blast furnace set up. This will make steel making a breeze. Well, a comparative breeze. So with no further ado, let's dive right in. So in between episodes, I started making up more machines, and one of them that I made was the electric kiln. This is a ridiculously good machine because it can smelt down nuggets back into ingots. So when we have all of those offcuttings from our forging process, we can throw them in here and it'll turn them back into full ingots once we have 20 of them. That's a wonderful addition here. This also is helpful because it can convert blister steel directly into steel. And then we don't have to sit there forging it by hand. That's a wonderful addition here. Took a little while to make. I basically spent a good half hour just hammering out all the pieces. Today, we're going to be hammering out more pieces, unfortunately. I already have started by doing a bunch of screws up. We have 32 steel screws. We have 40 iron screws left. So that's our starting point here. We now have 19 ingots of steel, and we have 26 iron ingots left. So with that, I think we have just enough to get the blast furnace set up here. We have 3 blocks of machined steel we're going to need, one for the basic blast furnace, and we're going to surround that with a bunch of refractory bricks, again, tier 3, which we made up before. We are then going to need 2 more machine blocks for our air blower. That will need also 12 more screws, 2 braided wires, and then the motor for that is of course made up of a bunch of random junk, including more steel screws, I think you can use iron for this, but I'm not positive. And then your rotors and stators, which also need more iron here. Now, these recipes you see pinned on the side here are using Sonito's Pin It, which is a great mod. The only problem with it is that you don't get to see the alternates here. So as I thought, the motor you can actually use iron screws for. You don't have to use steel screws. You can use an iron plate. So sometimes this is just for guidelines, reference purposes. You probably are still going to want to go back and look at the actual recipes to see if there's a cheaper way to make it. So for instance, I can use iron rods. I don't have to use steel rods for this. That's going to be really a bunch of money savings for us, but we do need a bunch more braided wire. So we have 24 wire. I'm hoping that's going to be enough for everything. I haven't done the math yet on this, but we are going to probably need to make more of it so that we can connect everything up. So let's go ahead and get started on this. We're going to start by making up our requisite 12 plates of steel. And it's not regular plates, remember. This is actually using these machine plates, which is a regular plate surrounded by screws. So that's going to be a lot of screws that we're going to need. I might need to forge up some more screws, in fact. But 12 steel plates are the starting point of our journey here. And because we are doing this with the electric forge, we need to heat up one at a time. So there's the electric forge getting heated up. We have our plate mold here. And once this gets up to a workable temperature, it is now at a workable temperature, we can throw this into our mold here, turn this on, and that will craft a steel plate for us instead of having to use 2 ingots. So this is a huge time saver and a huge money saver because it's a single ingot per plate. It really feels like we're in Minecraft again, I have to say. I know I'm not supposed to mention the other block game, but getting to that point where you can start doing recipe doubling is really nice. Now again, some of you are probably covering your ears and screaming because this feels a little cheaty, but yes, it does feel a little cheaty compared to normal Vintagestory. But we've hammered things out for hours, friends. We have done our time. We've done our due diligence here. We know what that experience is like. I'm doing this so that we can try out a new experience and explore something a little bit different that also feels a little bit familiar. And again, this is, I think, tempered by the fact that you do have to have a lot of high-end end game ingredients to make this stuff. And moreover, some of this is still a little bit manual. Like an electric forge, you still have to do a single ingot at a time here. This is still going to take a while to get these all done. Now, eventually this process of actually forging all of these various components will get a little faster because the next thing we're going to make after this is going to be the extruder, and that will allow us to make all of our various pieces here that we can't make in the mold, notably wires and also screws. So that's going to be really helpful for us here in the long run. And there we go. Before we know it, we have 12 steel plates already ready to go, and we've heated up another steel ingot. We're going to turn all of this off. This extra steel ingot we are of course going to use to make a few more screws in here. So let's go ahead, throw this down here. We're going to select our steel screw recipe, and in this case we do need to shear off a decent amount of material. So let's take off 12 nuggets of steel. Now I really need to tweak these recipes because right now I think I have it returning way too much material. So I really need to tweak those recipes for breaking off the nuggets, because right now it's returning double the yield it's supposed to. It's supposed to only have a 50% chance of returning a nugget when you are breaking off a piece of the material. Right now it's doing 1-to-1. That means that for every single unit of material I break off, I'm actually getting back 2 units, so we have an infinite money glitch here, which is not ideal. We are going to live with it for now because free stuff, hey, free stuff is great, but in the future I do want to fix that back so that we're at least closer to like 60% or 70%, so we should be getting at least material back regularly, but not enough that it's cheapy. Okay, so that being said, let's take our steel plates now, and we should have enough steel screws to convert all of these. Actually, that's going to use up all of our steel screws. So we are going to need to make more steel screws here, but we are basically out of the steel screw business now. Let's see here. For these blowers, yes, this must use steel. And so that means we need 24 more. So let me get those going real quick as well. Oh, one tip, turn it on first, then put your ingot in. Sometimes things get a little weird and it forgets that there's an ingot in there. I've seen this go to negative numbers for random reasons. I don't know why, but just something to keep in mind. All right, so let's get this hammered out. All right, 32 more screws for the taking. Let's make up our 3 machine blocks real quick here. And I believe it is just this simple here. Just like that, we can make up 3 machine blocks. Wonderful, we've got those ready to go. Now let's go get our refractory bricks so that we can make up the first piece of this, the actual blast furnace. So in here somewhere we have a bunch of tier 3 refractory bricks. There they are, great. And we need, let's see, 4 times 8. That is a lot. Okay, so oh, we need mortar. Of course, we have mortar. What am I thinking? There we go. Okay, great. So there we have, where did those just go? Back over here, tier 3, we have 42 of those. Let's see here, 4 times 8, of course, is 32. So that's gonna be more than enough for what we need to do here. There we go, let's put that there. Let's put this here. 1 blast furnace done, great. Okay, this is actually going along very smoothly so far, thanks to the fact that, of course, we had already done the pre-work in between episodes to get all of the steel made. All right, so the air blower is going to be next. For that, we are going to need 2 of these motors. For 2 of those motors, we do need to make up some of these other pieces first, including a stator. Nope, we want to come here, stator. I don't know why that's not working, but here we go. So we need 4 braided wire in addition to an additional 2 braided wire to put this together, and then 2 more braided wire here. So let's see here, that's 4, 8, and then does the rotor require any braided wire? Let's check. Yes, that also requires 4 braided wire. So that's gonna be 12 times 2 for 24 braided wire all day. We do not have enough electrical wire to make that currently, so we are gonna have to go hammer all of that out. Honestly, this almost makes me wish that we had done the extruder first, just because of all the hand manual hammering everything out that we're going to have to do here. But honestly, I think this is going to be absolutely fine in the long run, because really it's not going to take us that much longer, and then we'll have infinite access to steel afterwards without having to really worry about waiting, 6 to 12 days of gameplay to get there. Honestly, that's the main reason why this is attractive to me, is it just takes so long to actually make steel in this game. And I could be doing other things, quite frankly. Anything that wastes your time in a video game, as you all have heard me rant about in the past, it's not something I'm a big fan of. So I tend to shy away from things that take a lot of manual time. But as I mentioned in the last episode, this does feel a lot more like GregTech from Minecraft than it does necessarily actually immersive engineering or anything like that. It's got immersive engineering like hints to it and some thermal foundation hints to it, but really it feels like the slog of Greg Tech with all of the pieces you have to put together. Anyway, we are enjoying the journey though, friends, and that is the important part. Now, that last point is something I do want to harp on for a second here, friends. If you're not having fun playing a video game, don't play the video game anymore, quite frankly. There's nothing that requires you to spend your time with a game. And I've definitely had a lot of times in the past where I've gotten burnt out on a game or on a mod pack or on whatever I was doing, and it just wasn't fun anymore. And it got to the point where I didn't feel like, I don't know, there's no sense that you have to complete it, but you feel like this thing like you've given up or you failed if you haven't actually played it all the way through. And that's just, you know, messing with your head. You shouldn't make yourself play something you don't want to play. So for a lot of these packs, if I'm getting to the point where I'm just not feeling it anymore, I step away. And that's what happened to me with Vintagestory in the past. The last playthrough, the last season I did of this, we got almost to the point of making steel, and it just got real exhausting for me to record. I couldn't find goals that really made it feel like it was worth playing anymore. But now I've really found a nice balance here where I can continually work on things and pick away at things and feel like we're making some progress here. And that I'm actually, I don't know, getting somewhere and doing things that I like doing. So that's really the thing here. I'm not even really that interested in the story content at this point. I mean, it exists in the game and I'm sure it's lovely. I've been through the Resonance archive, but I haven't been through any of the other stuff yet in any playthrough. This playthrough, I'm hoping maybe we'll go through all that stuff, but only if we're feeling it, friends. There's no requirement that we have to go and do all of that stuff. I just really want to build our library. I want to do some forging. I want to play with some new machines we haven't played with, but that's really why I'm here, is just to explore, try things we haven't done before, and see what we find interesting and what we like to do. I'm actually really loving chiseling this time around, by the way, as well, if you all couldn't tell. So that's also holding my attention a lot more than it did in the past. Honestly, the best part about these machines, I think, so far is that forge, the thing that can actually hold all of your materials at a workable temperature for an indefinite period of time, and you don't have to sit there loading coal into it the whole time. It's not even the mining and supplying of the coal, it's the heating up and cooling down and heating up and cooling down that really, I feel like, takes the most out of me from an emotional energy standpoint. So this is actually an absolute delight. It really makes the game feel more invigorated and really much more worth playing. Much more worth playing, even if it is just the least bit cheaty. Okay, we are up to 80 pieces of electrical wire, so I think that's going to be enough to carry us through here. I'm not positive, but let's find out real quick. Let's see here. What did we just say? We need 24 pieces. All right, I think we are pretty close here. I have 2 sets of 12 braided wire. I made up 32 extra wire, and we are going to take our offcuts and start melting those back up in our kiln. So let's get that turned on and throw in our copper nuggets. There we go. That will then turn into actually whole ingots. Wonderful. Oh, and I dropped my hammer at some point. I don't remember doing that. Okay, well, it's a good thing we found it. Let's see here. So now we can move on to the next stage here. So we need to make up 2 stators and 2 rotors. So stator, I think we can actually just do it this way. Can I do it this way? Yeah, we can. Okay, great. So we have everything we need for that. There we go. There's 1 stator. Oh, we are missing enough iron to do a second iron plate for our stator. So let's go ahead and make up 1 more iron plate. Turn this machine back on. And again, this is the beauty of the system now. We can turn all of these things on and we don't have to wait forever for stuff to get finished and to hand hammer everything out. We can just kind of feed it into the system and very quickly we can do some auto crafting here. And this is just going to be a huge time saver for some of these bigger builds that we want to do in the future. All right, so another iron plate. That means that we can make yet another stator. And of course, it's the improved handbook recipes mod that allows us to click things directly in here. So that's where this comes from. There we go. There's another rotor. We're going to need another rotor. Actually, that was the first rotor. So now we have a second rotor. Great. Let's see. What are we missing? A couple of machine plates of iron. Okay, that does mean that we need 2 more plates of iron. I totally miscounted this. All right. So back to our iron making. Let's turn this on. All right, and there is our 2 iron plates. Are we now set for everything we need to do here? Let's put 2 of those there. Let's put this here. Get our stators in place, get our rotors in place. And actually, let's go ahead and put all of these in here while we're doing it. We'll make 2 up at once. And I believe, can we get away with iron screws? Or do we have to use steel? Oh, we can get away with iron. All right, wonderful. So that is our 2 motors done. That's that piece. So let's see here. Now we should have 2 motors. We should have 2 blocks of steel there. We got our 4 wires. And now all we need to do is add our steel screws around this. So let's do this. Oh, are we short? Oh, we are just short on steel screws. Okay, well, that is easily resolved. Let's heat up 1 more steel ingot and get a few more screws made. All right, and there are our 2 air blowers, and we still have a bunch of extra steel screws left over. And this, along with our blast furnace, should allow us to start upgrading to be able to make steel automatically. We are, however, running out of space in here, so I think I need to give this a quick little boop. All right, there we go. We just removed our back door. We don't really need a back door at this point, so we're gonna live without it. All right, so let's see here. I should be able to put a blower on there and a blower on there. That'll work well. I don't know why I have an extra one of those there. Don't need that ladder. Okay, so that should be the setup here. I think we still need coke in this though, because I don't see a power input on the furnace itself, only on these fans. So let's at least get this wired up real fast. I'm gonna put another relay right over here above my head because I'm always worried about getting shocked by things, as you all may recall from other games I may have played in the past. Let's put this to this one. Actually, let's do it to the top junction. And then from there, we're gonna go to each of the blowers like so. And it doesn't look like the blast furnace has any place to connect there. Okay, so let's see here. Requires an empty block in front of it. That is easy enough for us to fix. Let's remove this block. We will also remove that block. Let's see here. Sleeping, and no issues. Okay, wonderful. So now I believe all we have to do is add in our iron and our coke, and we should then start making steel in here. I think that's how this is gonna work. Let's find out real quick. We figured it out. The problem was you need to shift click on the air blowers with an empty hand. That's the way to start getting this to actually do its thing. And then you need 1 iron ingot to 1 piece of coal coke. And there we go. Blister steel comes out the other side. So let's do, I don't know, what do you say? 11 more pieces at least? Yeah, I think going with 12 steel pieces to start will be great. We'll probably do a whole lot more in the future here, but yeah, look at this. And our coal is still going. That is wonderful because this goes nice and slowly, but these are heating up quickly. So this gets us blister steel in no time flat. That blister steel, of course, we can take over to our electric kiln, throw in here, and it will start smelting that into steel for us, even though this is already way hotter than it needs to be to actually do that. So let's see here. The machine is heating up slowly but surely, and soon that will be done, and we have more blister steel coming in. Y'all, we have steel making effectively cracked at this point. This is wonderful. Now, of course, the only remaining issue is generating enough power here. So we might need to add in another one of our wooden gears here and add in a bunch more windmills on the top. I think we can support at least 2 more with our current design, but we might have to rebuild this a little bit. So let me get started on that while we wait for the rest of our steel to finish. Well, friends, I was gonna upgrade our windmill, but unfortunately we don't have enough of our linen because we don't have enough flax fiber at this point to be able to make up more wide sails. So that project is gonna have to be put on hold for now. We will do that in spring once we have another huge crop of our flax. And next time around, friends, we are gonna do way more flax than we did this year. But right now you can see it is not a hospitable time to be growing flax. So with the limited time we have remaining, I'm going to hammer through real quick and get the last machine on our current list, which is the extruder. I think there's other machines in this pack, but the extruder is the last one we want. It's going to be able to make all of our other ingredients here much faster in the future. So let's get started on this last crafting project. So for this, we are going to need a bunch more plates of steel again. This time, we are going to need 4 more of those machine steel plates to be able to make a block. And then we can go on to the motor, which is made of our stators and rotors, as we learned before. So let me get hammering all of this out real quick with our newly formed access to steel. So here we can go ahead and start slapping in some steel ingots into our electric forge. And there we go. We finally have our extruder done. We're going to put that right over here in this corner if it will let me underneath the battery. We want it to be reversed. There we go. Now we have a wire connection point. We can use our electrical wire, which is cooled down suitably for this purpose, and connect it up there. Oh, we cannot attach this wire to this machine. How about to there? Yeah, there we go. We just have too many points connected already to that relay, something we're going to have to fix in the near future. But for now, we now have an extruder that we can add dies to get more gauges of wire back out. So what do our gauges look like? Here we go. So we've got LV gauges, we've got MV gauges, we've got HV gauges. Fascinating. And it also looks like there is our screw cast that we need to make there as well. Okay, wonderful. So for crafting, we need, a whetstone. Oh, that's for repairing. That's not how that's working. We need to smith it out, and it looks like it requires how much material? It doesn't say, but I think it's going to be 2 ingots worth. So maybe what we do here is we start with an iron plate and then hammer that into what we want for our cast, because again, we can do that with 1 ingot and basically extend the amount of material we're getting back. So let's get screws going real quick. Let's get wires going real quick. And let's see, is there any other die cast that we are concerned about? Oh, it looks like we can do pipes with this. Looks like we can do rods with this. Okay, let's make a bunch of these then, because why not? We do not have any use for MV, I think at this point. I don't think that's implemented, or HV in the pack yet, or in the mod Vintage Engineering. So let's do pipes, screws, rods, and LV gauge to start. That means we're gonna need 4 iron plates. All right, so I got about all the way through with these, and I found out that apparently for the pipes and the rods, I need to use steel instead, or better, I can use meteoric iron, which is slightly less good, or I can use titanium, which is a step above, but I went ahead and used steel because that's what we've got on hand right now, because if we want to make fluid pipes, we need to be able to have the steel version. And similarly for the rods, we need to have at least the steel version of this to be able to do the higher tier metals as well. So that's why we had to double back and make these out of steel instead. And the others, the extras I just threw into the chest. We're gonna worry about that later. And now we still have the iron versions for screws and for our wire. It does not appear that we need to have a steel one to make steel screws, but that is something we probably should test. You know, honestly, no reason not to test it right now. Let's go ahead and use our metal rod die in here. There we go. Let's go ahead and heat up 1 piece of steel. There we go. This will get heat up very, very rapidly. I love this electric forge. It is already up to temperature, just like that, folks. It takes no time at all. We're gonna turn that off. And now we go back over here and we're gonna drop this in. It's crafting our rods up very, very rapidly here. We are gonna grab up our screw mold because we're gonna swap this out. 4 metal rods already done. Swap out, put the rods in, and yeah, there we go. Even with the iron mold, the iron die, it is still making our screws. Look at that. So quick, so efficient. Don't even have to think about it. 32 screws. Whoa, and that is even more than we usually get. That is a lot. We are gonna have Actually, more screws than we know what to do with. So I'm going to just make that and then we're done. Because I don't think we'll ever need another bit of screw ever again. Now, you may be asking what is the die cast for pipes for, and this is another amazing feature of this mod, probably one of the best things in here. If you're familiar with those in the other block game, there's a variety of different types of mods that add these, and now they are in Vintagestory as well. So we have item pipes and we have fluid pipes. So we need to make bronze to be able to make item pipes, and from iron we can make fluid pipes. But we're really concerned at this point about the item pipes because that will allow us to do more automation of all of these lovely, lovely new machines. So between episodes, I might start making up a few more of these little machines here that we can start tinkering with and trying out, and maybe even start playing with item pipes a little bit. But next episode, I think I really want to play with the other electricity mod that is in this pack, and that is going to be a bit of a new adventure. So for now, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!